long-winded introductions out of me. Let's get a short-winded introduction. Spawning. Down here in the top position. Give it up for Alpha X's own RAGNAROK. And his opponent, also repping the dragon, he is ZOUN. So the one thing I like about replays is just the fact that you're not waiting for players as much, so there's a lot less downtime. That's probably just me, however. But yeah, we know that RAGNAROK is a very aggressive player. We obviously saw that in the last series versus Dream. He likes these move outs to kind of keep up on match control. Dream fell into the trap of kind of pushing into him when he wasn't really ready, and that's what cost him those games. ZOUN, he's been playing it very by the wire as well tonight. Very aggressive, very heavy-handed. So yeah, it's kind of just having to adjust, not just from PvZ in general, but aggressive PvT to PvZ, to aggressive PvZ. I got there in the end with that thought. But, you know, for RAGNAROK, he's taking the safer third base up here at the 6 o'clock. I think when you do take this base, it's going to be even more important to kind of have your creep spread as quickly as possible down these different locations, because we see a lot of Protoss players either drop a pylon up here or, you know, even just send the Warp Prism in and get these good Zealot positionings where they can go straight into your third base. Now, ZOUN is just going to be dancing around with this first Adept, looking for those first couple of mutas, or Zerglings. I still got that last game on Romanticide on my mind. But he's going to be going up to Stargate. Now, when you see Stargate in PvZ these days, you think one big thing. It's big. It shoots lasers. It's a Void Ray. And the thing about it, on Pillars of Gold, there is a good possibility that RAGNAROK sees this and says, to heck with it. I'm not letting you get up to that very scary count of Void Rays. I'm not going to let you transition into Archons, into Charge Lots, so that you can kill any sort of Hydralisk I make. I am going to absolutely wreck your face and go for that super all-in Queen march across the map. Saw Rogue do it the most yesterday. I think it was actually against ZOUN that I saw Rogue do it, where he just sends all that huge number of queens across, and the Void Rays couldn't do anything because there was so much transfused energy available that it was just impossible to say. Now, if RAGNAROK is so inclined to do so, he is going to have to spread that creep as far as humanly possible to make it easier for the queens to walk across. We did see the Oracle come in here, get a couple of cheeky little kills as well. 3 going down before the Queen is able to shoo that away. But now we're kind of just in this build-up phase for ZOUN. He's got the second Stargate already. He's starting the transition slightly with that Robo facility going down. And you can see he's just being a little bit of a nuisance. Misses the active tumor, which isn't the best, but you know. Nice little revelation by the Oracle as double void rate production has fully kicked off. We should be going up to about 6 to 8 before it goes in. And this is a little bit interesting, I have to say. It's just the fact that we're not going to be seeing Templar Archives. We're not going to be seeing Charge just yet. He went for Robo Bay. Good. It's good to get out Colossus. It's good to get out Disruptors. But at the end of the day, will they be as effective without that gateway support? Slow Zealots aren't really going to help deal with anything. And I know that's obviously just my opinion, but I mean, seriously, slow Zealots. RAGNAROK trying to make his way into the base. One warp in of Adept after killing that one will not really mean too much, so he will retreat, trading out some of the way too many of those lings. We do see he's still droning up as well. He's got the Baneling Nest coming in. This is... I'm a little bit interested about RAGNAROK's thought process during everything. Because he did get the Roach Warren for... which is normal. Defensively, it's good. Offensively, it's fantastic. Just send Roach, 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 and boom, you're done. But it kind of feels like he's playing into the potential trap here for ZOUN. Because soon we are going to have Storm. Charge is about halfway complete. And everything that he's building is super, super volatile to all of what ZOUN's making. Kind of interested about the Phoenix, though. Yeah, that's true, Holy 101. I do agree that you can pick up a lot of the queens, but really, there's no air army for RAGNAROK, so once you pick up the queens, they're pretty much dead space. And I mean, there's so many Hydralisks that even picking up the queens is such a tall ask. But here we go. RAGNAROK is making his first big move. The Void Ray is going to shoo away as many of these links as possible. In terms of upgrades, they are equal on both sides. The Queen's still pushing forward as far as possible. But will it be enough? RAGNAROK is completely maxed out. He's adding on additional links. It's just pure units, units, units. From this point forward, there are a lot of Archons and Disruptors do get the shots off, but they will whiff. That's the first one that takes a big commanding advantage, but the Disruptors will fall for it. And that is a lot of supply plummeting here for RAGNAROK. Looks like a lot of the Void Rays do go down. This last Archon holding down the line. As I say, last Archon. There's two more in the back. Now the last Archon. Actually, a really nice hold for ZOUN. Beautiful. He's not out of the woods yet, though, because we have more Hydras, more Lings, more destruction about to rain down on him. He needs Archons. He needs shield batteries. He needs Disruptors. He needs pretty much everything and the kitchen sink. And it still might not be enough. Yeah, he needs EMPs. He needs Ghosts. He needs Siege Tanks. But wrong matchup for that. It's like a little mini EMP. RAGNAROK just getting ready for another pass. That carrier count not going to be high enough for this next attack. He is making them 2 at a time, but now RAGNAROK has this kind of little bit of a window, and the wall is open. So a ton of Lings are going to make their way into the main base, distracting ZOUN. A good disruptor shot going to get rid of some of them, but that's not going to be enough on this side. He is pushed all the way back. No shield battery is going to be enough. And that shield battery does run out of energy. That's a lot of attention put away. Looks like he is going to hold, however. So maybe I was a little bit too quick to judge, but now ZOUN is going on the offensive. He feels like he can close out this game, and you know what? RAGNAROK agrees. GG. That attack looks so good for RAGNAROK. I don't know where it fell apart, honestly. Yeah, I know, right? I see you guys. Shaking your heads on it just like I am. But nah, you can't fault RAGNAROK for that one. He did kind of give him a little bit too much time. The upgrades as well, just a little bit of an issue. But speaking of upgrade, we have upgraded our lineup with this Zerg player down here in the bottom left, representing the Dragons. He is RAGNAROK. And his opponent up here in the top. For Alpha X, he is ZOUN. From your voice, I thought you'd have a beard. Well, funnily enough, I don't actually sound like this in my day-to-day life. This is literally just my casting voice, and I have no idea how to turn it off. Like, I'm not even joking. I sound nothing like I do when I cast, when I'm just in my normal everyday life. It is the weirdest thing. You know, RAGNAROK, it's kind of, it used to be the exception going for the third base first, but now versus Protoss, it is the very big standard. Like, you're barely ever gonna see him take the natural anymore, just because that, like, first probe being a big nuisance. Now you see, we're seeing standard openings from both sides. The Nexus goes down before Cybernetics Core. So, in talking about that doesn't really mean too much. It does mean that it's going to be a couple of seconds later, which means your tech is going to be a little bit delayed, but it's kind of that little, I want to say early game decision you make. Do you go for economy? Do you go for tech? Do you try and kill your opponent with a big Adept Glaive opening? What do you do? Yeah, Stargate once again. I kind of expect this. This is a very open map. A lot of places where you can move around. Who win ZOUN versus Patience? We haven't done that one yet. Don't worry. We've still got ZOUN versus Patience coming up. And what's the other one? Patience versus RAGNAROK. So still 2 great series on after this. We are about Holy moly, we are 3 hours in so far. These games have actually gone by pretty quick. How do you get this overlay while casting replay? Under settings, you can set it up. There's two different settings under it. One of them's for the live broadcast, and then the other one is the what do you call it? It is for the replays. So you just set it. You just set it there, and then it's the Pro 2020 overlay. So the void rays are just kind of shaking around the map. Overlord's not in position, so they won't get any of their prey. I love this guy. He's kind of just hanging out of the corner of the view. You can't even like really zoom in on him. And that's his hiding strategy for this one. But now the void ray is going to be coming across the map, looking to do just a little bit of poking. They're not meant to get a lot of damage in. They're just to kind of scare his opponent. But already we do see the queens in position. We see he's going up to lair tech. And one more big round of drones. Maybe a second one afterwards. But yeah. More than likely, he's going to be going into a +1 roach timing with the queens moving across. Because even though Jagannatha looks like such a large map, the rush distance down the middle is actually very small because of those acceleration zones. I think with them, it's maybe the second to third shortest rush distance on the in the pool right now, if I understood it correctly. Looks like from here, Joan going to be mixing it up a little bit. I'm very interested in the addition of the Phoenix. That is a very big gas commitment, and even though you can lift certain things up, you're not really going to be able to find too much that you can. Because there's so many Hydralisks, because there's so many... so much anti-air at this point, I think it would be better set just putting that gas towards more Archons. This time, though, he does have Storm. Which is, you know what, a saving grace for him, honestly. But we see Ragnarok just getting ready for the attack, getting the Nidus Worm down. Probably just going to throw that in the front and continue his power up. So a little bit of a lull in the action. Not too much else to say right now. There we go. The Nidus comes down. The queens are already inside. Look how many queens he has. He's got 11 raring to go. And he's even going to open up another location closer. This is like when a franchise opens up a new restaurant right next to each other. And you know what? It must be a spicy, spicy restaurant as the Phoenix going to go down right there. The queens are in position. Storm did complete, so he has some good storms all over the Hydralisks, but there is transfuse energy for days. Looks like a lot of the Hydralisks do go down, and the Phoenix trying to shoo away what they can. Shield battery overcharge has been popped, but all these units are fighting way too far forward for that to be effective. Phoenix starting to get lower and lower, and now the shield battery overcharge is gone. The Zealots do get some more good pickoffs, but I don't know, Kev. He's separated between his natural and his third. And yeah, a couple of Immortals, a couple of Archons. Archons do have a lot of splash, which will help deal with this. But, I mean, the way you deal with that is you just split, so that the splash is mitigated. He can't really warp in too many of these Zealots anymore. And as the reinforcements come on in, GG is called. So we will be hopping into a game number 3 for this first one. And don't worry, my man, Junho Yo-Yo, ZOUN versus Patience will come up right after this one. Rounding out the potential team kills, spawning up here in the top position. Give it up for our red Zerg player, RAGNAROK. And his opponent down here in the bottom, looking at you, ZOUN. So you know, I gotta say, I like how ZOUN kind of changed it up a little bit from game number 1, even though he did win that game. That I feel like he should not have won that game, honestly. So he kind of refined it a little bit. He went straight into Storm a little bit quicker. He got plenty of Archons, some Immortals as well, kind of expecting the Roach attack. He just wasn't ready for the Nidus Worm. I feel if that wasn't there, then he would have been okay. But I digress on that point. It looks like everything is pretty much the same going forward right now. Cybernex Core after Nexus, and more than likely this is Death Aura, so Void Rays are kind of a big deal here. Overlord really just hanging out. This is like a... Honestly, this Overlord is like a peeping Tom that forgets that you have to not be seen to be a peeping Tom. But he sees the Warp Gate is being researched. The first Adept. Everything out... Nothing really out of the ordinary with this. He probably is going to just expect the Stargate. I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes for the hard counter, because you know what, Void Ray has been in the meta for at least a couple of months now. After Zest started doing it, every single Protoss and their brother is using it to varying effects, because in the beginning we saw a lot more later game play we saw Protoss players able to get up to that very scary transition into all these carriers, all these just very high tier, very expensive units. And the Zerg kind of struggling a little bit to get the engagements that they wanted. But recently, no. Just absolutely not. All, like, for example, Rogue versus ZOUN versus a couple of different things. A couple of different players. I think he was against Hurricane as well yesterday. I'm trying to remember. But the second he saw that, he dropped the Roach Warren, he dropped the Queens, he pushed out with everything. And he just killed his opponent based off of that because there's not that much there. You're spending so much on these very expensive flying paperweights. And by the way, when I call them paperweights, it's just when they're in small numbers. They are indeed pretty non-tanky versus Queens. And after that, we saw, we see Zergs winning a lot more because of it. Now, Ragnarok is flipping the switch, flipping the script just a little bit, because instead of going into roaches, yes, he gets the Roach Warren just in case, but he's going pure Hydraling Bane. Now, is that better? I don't 100% think so, just because you do have Templar Archives as a general follow-up, which means storms for days. But if you can overwhelm your opponent, all the storms in Florida won't be able to save you. Oracle going to be coming in, getting a little bit of pokey poke. Not the biggest of deal, as we saw a small little run by going to be coming in, looking for that third base up at the top. But drone production has cut for just a second, as we've got 26 more lings on the production tab while that lair is still being popped. Ragnarok even a little bit supply blocked, just barely, as we do see all of these lings going to be moving across. Remember, lings do not shoot up. The creep spread not as far forward as he might like either, so the Queens will not be joining this push. But he is going to catch quite a few of these Adepts. The shield battery saving what they can, but in the end of the day, that will go down. And these probes might, if he can get wind of them, follow soon. Big connection right there. And 8, 9, 10 probes going down, maybe more. But good micro going to save what he can. Oh my goodness, that was beautiful for Ragnarok. So now Joan in a little bit of a panic mode. He is blocking off every single avenue that he can. Keep in mind that wasn't free for Rag. And one of the biggest problems, and I will tell you, no matter where you are on ladder, whether you're the highest master or the lowest bronze, you can trade army for economy all day. But if you trade all of your army for all of their economy and you don't kill off his army, you're gonna die. And the reason I bring that up is because those lings, they didn't really connect with any of these air-based units. So there is still a pretty decent force for Jotun. And as he goes up to Archons, as he goes up to those +1 upgrades, and even going to add on the Robo facility, you have to be careful as Ragnarok for the counterattack. Looking at that, Joan even ahead in terms of that worker supply. That is very funny to see. Never where you want to be as a Protoss player. Or Zerg player, rather, excuse me. I don't know how that Ling got in there, but I salute him. Okay, Storm is done. Charge is complete. Ragnarok just getting it ready for this huge Muta switch. He's got 6 more on the way and about, how many on the field already? 13 of them. Oh my goodness. ZOUN, he does have those Archons in the front. And he did make a couple of Phoenix. So he's all... The problem is they're not in position. So he is going to lose a small arty pylon. The Toastus pylons, I must say. And he's going to force in the warping of a couple of Stalkers who don't blink. Storm's going to get a good connection down as he's kind of just rotating around these different locations, being very careful not to lose these Mutalisks. Yeah, I know. I'm very confused as to why he went Muta too, PH. But hey, so far he is getting some pickoffs. He's not really trading out any of these Mutas just yet. He's trying to fight in front of the shield batteries, though. I think that's his biggest mistake. So, yeah, Mutas might not have been the best call because obviously there was already double Stargate out, so he can pump out Phoenix out as soon as he likes. These positions are pretty well guarded. Just all things considered, even the Phoenix is going to shoo this away. Yeah, he is baiting with the Mutas quite a bit as we do have eight Infestors coming on out. He's got the Hive down. He's got the upgrades being built in. Oh, if he can get a juicy connection on those High Templars, everything will have been worth it. You know, I don't actually hate this position for Ragnarok either because he has started that transition into the Hydralisks, Infestors, etc., etc. Gonna get +2 upgrades on those Mutas still. That's kind of interesting if he is transitioning out. Sorry about that, but okay. Carriers in the call position now. That's going to force either more Hydralisks, maybe Corruptors if he's so inclined. But the Hive has completed, so those +3 upgrades are going to be coming in. I think that's the yeah, that's Flux Veins, isn't it? That's just going to make these Void Rays speedy, speedy, speedy. As we see a maxed out ZOUN going to be going for an engagement in a relatively nice choke point location. And that's going to not be the best place for Ragnarok to try and engage into, as we do have some beautiful storm connections going on down. Revelations going to find all of these Infestors, some good feedbacks as well, going to save these units. Oh, that's Tempests? Okay, they look very similar, so I didn't know. Now Now Jotun pushing this location on the creep. He doesn't have an observer, and I think the Oracle might have gone down. Spore Crawler just kind of relaxing, doing what it can against the infestors, but oh my goodness, beautiful storms over this entire army, just forcing Ragnarok further and further back. The carrier starting to run low on that interceptor count, however, and he's running low on storms as well, morphing in a ton more Archons for what he can do. And now now Jotun's still maxed out. There's a lot of Ultralisks on the ground, but I don't know if those actually counter what we're seeing here. Might be a little bit of a mistake, but here we go. More storms have been added to this mix. The Immortals in the backfield gonna just rain hellfire on these. Microbial Shroud doing what they can versus the Infestors. And it looks like with the Queens going down, Ragnarok, his supply is plummeting. The Phoenix doing a good job of lifting up the Queens full of energy. And I think Jotun has broken this location, and there you have it. GG is called.